Imagine stepping into the first day of your dream job, only to be hit with a sudden crisis from the person you care about most. That's exactly what happens to Quang, whose excitement quickly turns to worry when Linda messages him, her vision failing, sometimes seeing, sometimes not. Torn between new responsibilities and urgent care, Quang must navigate the challenge with determination and love. Will he reach her in time? Stay with us to find out this heartfelt story of trust, courage, and care. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to follow every twist of their journey. Quang stepped out of his apartment building early in the morning, the city still wrapped in the soft, golden haze of dawn. Today was his first day at the new job, a moment he had been anticipating with a mix of excitement and nervous tension. His shoes tapped lightly against the pavement as he walked, each step echoing the heartbeat pounding in his chest. He had rehearsed his introduction to his colleagues countless times, imagined himself navigating the labyrinth of office corridors with confidence, and pictured that satisfying moment when his hard work would finally pay off. The air was crisp, carrying faint hints of freshly brewed coffee from a nearby cafe, mingling with the earthy scent of the morning streets. Everything felt alive, vibrant, yet somehow surreal, as if the world itself was holding its breath in anticipation of the day ahead. As Quang approached the sleek glass doors of the office building, Quang could feel the fluttering of his nerves growing stronger. He smoothed his shirt, adjusted his tie, and took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. The lobby was already buzzing with activity, assistants rushing past with stacks of files, the faint clatter of keyboards from open offices, and the quiet hum of conversations carried through the air-conditioned space. For a brief moment, he paused to take it all in, the polished floors reflecting the soft sunlight, the neatly arranged chairs, and the faint scent of paper and electronics blending together in a strangely comforting way. This was the beginning of something new, a step into a future he had been working toward for so long. Just as Quang was about to check in at the reception, his phone vibrated in his pocket. He pulled it out, expecting a simple greeting or perhaps a reminder for the morning briefing, but the screen displayed a message from Linda, and his stomach dropped as he read her words. "Quang, my eyes. I can't see clearly. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. I need you to take me to see a doctor." His fingers froze over the phone as his mind spun, images of Linda in distress flashing through his thoughts. The bustling office around him seemed to fade away, replaced by an overwhelming surge of worry. He had imagined many challenges on his first day, meeting new colleagues, understanding new systems, making a good impression, but nothing could have prepared him for this sudden plea for help. His heart ached as he read the message again, each word burning into his mind. Linda had always been strong and independent, someone who faced challenges with quiet courage. And yet here she was, vulnerable and scared, relying on him for support. He felt a pang of helplessness, wishing he could instantly be by her side. The sound of distant chatter and the faint hum of office machinery seemed to fade into the background, replaced by the rapid rhythm of his own heartbeat. In that moment, everything else, his job, his plans, even the excitement of the day, felt secondary to the urgent need to ensure that Linda would be safe for her eyes and for her. He typed back as quickly as he could, his hands trembling slightly. "Linda, stay calm. I'll be there soon. Don't panic. I'll take care of you." Even as he hit send, he felt a wave of anxiety mixed with determination. Today had started as a day full of hope and anticipation, yet now it had become a day defined by concern, care, and the unspoken promise that no matter what, he would be there for her. He pocketed his phone, taking one last deep breath before stepping forward into the office, each step carrying with it the weight of responsibility and the silent hope that everything would turn out all right for Linda's eyes and for her. Quang walked into the office, trying to focus on the tasks that awaited him, but his mind kept drifting back to Linda's message. Each sound around him, the clack of keyboards, the low murmur of colleagues chatting, the faint ringing of phones, felt strangely distant, as if he were observing the world from underwater. He glanced at the clock and realized how quickly time was passing, each minute stretching endlessly as he worried about her. He could almost see her in his mind's eye, sitting at home, blinking uncertainly, her hands trembling slightly as she reached for her phone. The thought made his chest tighten painfully. He hated that he couldn't be there instantly, hated that the first day of his new job, something he had worked so hard to reach, had become secondary to the fragile uncertainty of Linda's health. Throughout the morning, Quang tried to immerse himself in work, answering emails, attending briefings, and taking careful notes. Yet every notification ping, every vibration of his phone sent his heart racing, fearing it might be another distressing message from her. His colleagues spoke to him, offering guidance and introductions, but their words were like background noise he couldn't fully absorb. The excitement and novelty of his first day, the bright office lights, the smell of fresh coffee, the polished floors, were eclipsed by a gnawing sense of helplessness. He longed to leave, to rush home and ensure Linda was safe, to see for himself that the fleeting blindness she described hadn't become something worse. During a brief break, Quang stepped into the quiet corner of the lobby, his phone in hand once more. He reread her message, feeling the urgency in every word. Sometimes I can see, sometimes I can't. The unpredictability of her condition haunted him. He knew that eyes were delicate, fragile organs that could deteriorate quickly if left unattended, and the thought of her suffering in silence made his stomach twist. Yet he also recognized that he couldn't abandon his responsibilities entirely. His first day demanded presence, attentiveness, and professionalism. The tension tore at him from both sides, the professional duty he owed to his new colleagues and the personal duty he felt toward Linda, the person whose well-being had become more important than anything else in that moment. Quang exhaled deeply, forcing himself to focus. He typed another message to her, attempting to calm both her and himself. "Hang in there, Linda. I'll be home as soon as I can. Don't try to move around alone. I'll take you to the doctor and make sure you're okay." Sending the words gave him a small sense of control, though only slightly. Every fiber of his being wished he could leave immediately, but he also knew he had to navigate the delicate balance between duty and concern. As he put his phone away and returned to his desk, he silently promised himself that no meeting, no task, and no minor obstacle could prevent him from keeping that promise. The hours stretched on, each one a careful negotiation between responsibility and anxiety. Quang's mind continued to wander to Linda, her voice, her smile, her worry, and he realized that even amidst the unfamiliar office environment, the new faces and the professional expectations, his heart belonged elsewhere. Every glance at the clock, every beat of his pulse, reminded him that time mattered, that every moment spent away from her might carry risks. He clutched his pen tighter, tried to jot down notes, but the words blurred as his thoughts raced. He could only hope silently, fervently, that when he finally returned, Linda's eyes would be all right, that the temporary darkness would lift, and that he could be there to guide her safely, hand in hand, toward clarity and comfort.
Finally, the office clock struck late afternoon, and Quang felt a surge of relief mixed with urgency. The endless wait, the gnawing anxiety, the constant tug of worry in his chest. He could finally act. Gathering his belongings quickly, he excused himself politely to his colleagues, though their polite nods and smiles barely registered. Every step toward the elevator was measured, each beat of his heart a drum of determination. His mind raced with images of Linda, the moment she sent that first trembling message, the fear in her eyes he had imagined countless times throughout the day, and the vulnerability that made him want to rush to her side without delay. He could almost see her reaching out, trusting him completely, and the weight of that trust drove him forward with more urgency than he had ever known. The elevator ride felt interminable, each floor a slow drag that tested his patience and heightened his anxiety. When the doors finally opened at street level, Quang stepped out into the fading sunlight, the city now bathed in a warm amber glow. The familiar sights, vendors packing up their carts, cars inching through the evening traffic, the distant hum of life continuing as usual, felt almost surreal. For Quang, the world had shrunk to the single thought of Linda, her health, her safety, her fragile eyes that had become the center of his universe. The phone buzzed again in his pocket. He read her latest message. Quang, I'm scared. It's dark again. The words hit him like a cold wave, and for a moment, he stopped in the middle of the sidewalk, taking a deep, steadying breath. When he finally arrived at her apartment, Quang's heart pounded uncontrollably. He rang the bell, and moments later, Linda opened the door, her face pale, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and relief. Seeing him, she let out a small, shaky sigh, and for a heartbeat, the tension that had wrapped itself around Quang all day seemed to lift. I'm here, Linda, he whispered, his voice firm but gentle. We're going to the doctor. Everything's going to be all right. She nodded, trusting him entirely, and leaned slightly on him as he guided her carefully down the steps. Each step was slow, deliberate, his hands steadying her trembling frame, as though by holding her he could shield her from every uncertainty that had haunted her day. Outside, the city seemed to blur around them, but Quang didn't notice. All that mattered was getting Linda to safety, ensuring she was seen by a doctor who could unravel the mysterious darkness that had invaded her vision. He silently promised himself that nothing, no traffic, no detours, no delays, would prevent him from keeping her safe. In that moment, he felt a deep, unshakable bond between them, a connection that transcended words, a commitment to care and protect no matter the cost. As they finally approached the car, Linda's grip on his arm tightened ever so slightly, a silent plea and a quiet acknowledgement of the trust they shared. Quang looked down at her and smiled softly, a mixture of relief and determination lighting his features. As he started the engine and drove toward the clinic, Quang couldn't help but glance at her occasionally, watching her breathe a little easier, sensing that each passing moment was bringing her closer to clarity, to comfort, and to the reassurance she needed. In his heart, he silently thanked the day for bringing him to this moment, where despite all uncertainties and fears, he could finally be by her side, guiding her through the shadows and toward the light. And in that quiet, suspended space between anxiety and hope, Quang vowed that no matter what, he would never let her face the darkness alone.
Hello, xin chào tất cả các khán giả của kênh Lý Tưởng Nina Review. Vậy là câu chuyện của chúng ta ngày hôm nay đã kết thúc tại đây. Trong câu chuyện hôm nay của chúng ta thì đã có một tình tiết rất là mới lạ và hấp dẫn. Đó chính là trong lúc Quang đang làm việc tại công trường thì đã nhận được tin nhắn của Linda thông báo cho Quang là mắt của cô đột nhiên bị mất thị lực, lúc nhìn thấy lúc không. Cô đang rất là lo lắng và muốn được Quang đưa cô đi khám mắt ngay lập tức. Quang nhận được tin nhắn đó của Linda, anh cũng cố gắng sắp xếp để về đưa Linda đi ngay. Liệu rằng mắt của Linda có vấn đề gì hay không? Tất cả sẽ được hé lộ ở câu chuyện tiếp theo sẽ được phát sóng hàng ngày trên kênh Lý Tưởng Linda Review. Các bạn hãy bấm vào nút đăng ký kênh để nhận được thông báo mới nhất về các tập phim sẽ được phát sóng hàng ngày trên kênh Lý Tưởng Linda Review nha. Cảm ơn các bạn rất nhiều. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại vào tập tiếp theo. Bye bye.